Hello and welcome to the African Regional Conference 2016. I'm James King, the banker's Africa and Middle East editor, and I'm joined today by Chris Hamilton, who is the Chief Executive of Bankserv Africa. Chris, thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure, James. G'day.
Now, there's a lot of talk at this year's ARC around the role of disruptive new technologies and new entrants in the financial ecosystem, but you argue that this dichotomy between disruption and technology is a false one. Tell us more about that.
Okay, so it's certainly true there's a lot of exciting technology around, and we ought to be exploring it and working out how it can help us in all of the very many challenges that we have. But I find the idea of disruption, with that sort of polarisation between big, fat, comfortable incumbents and new, fast-moving, aggressive small players, a little bit unhelpful in terms of the problems that we've got to solve. That we need to take these new technologies, pick out the best of them and integrate them into our existing networks and frameworks. We don't want to tear stuff up and throw it away. Actually, there's a lot of good infrastructure there which we need to rebuild and build on. So I actually think a better way to think of it is innovation and how we can hybridise, how we can combine the best of the existing frameworks with the new technology.
Now, you also mentioned the point around networks there, and you've argued in the past, Chris, that there is an element of needing to layer network technology in the financial ecosystem.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so one of the things that really distinguishes payments business relative to other types of banking and indeed other financial services is that intensely network effect. Think of it like the mobile phone. I can have the best mobile phone in the world, but if it's not connected to everyone I want to call, it's actually no use. It doesn't matter how well built it is, right? So the network effect is vital. You've got to have access to a network which reaches your counterparties in whatever type of payments business you want to do. Now, those networks exist, but what we want to try and do is reuse them with new technologies, right? So there's a lot of work going on globally to open up networks by using standardized message formats, by using standardized access frameworks, so that you can then take new technology and instead of building a new network alongside your old one, you reuse the existing one with a layer of new technology on top of it. This, I think, is actually the big challenge we've got globally, to reuse our existing networks and build new technology for better consumer outcomes. Okay, and this sort of feeds into the work that Bankserv Africa is doing with Cyrus in terms of low value payments. Sorry. That's true. So Bankserv Africa is a network clearing provider. It connects up all of the banks of South Africa and increasingly other jurisdictions in Africa. So one of the important projects there at the moment is to take what the South African Reserve Bank and its counterparts have done with Cyrus to build a sort of inter-African settlement infrastructure and layer on top of that a low-value regional clearinghouse, the RCH, which uses that settlement infrastructure to deliver a low-value service across the region as well. There's a lot of work going on at the moment to build that next step in the system, which will allow individual banks or communities of banks, if they choose, in different countries to use Cyrus for low-value payments for end customers. And then once that's there, you can start thinking about layering more technology on top of that, like a specific worker remittances structure, a specific bill payment structure, mobile payments built on top of the existing infrastructure, and so on. So you can see how you keep reusing the infrastructure for more and more purposes. Okay, sure. Now you're speaking on some of these points on the innovation panel at ARC on Thursday, so I look forward to hearing more about it then. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining us, Chris. Thanks, James. A pleasure.